I've just been to see Melania, the documentary about the 20 days leading up to last year's inauguration, centered around Melania Trump, the returning First Lady of the United States of America. It's directed by Brett Ratner, the disgraced Hollywood director of films like Rush Hour, who has had multiple allegations of, well, let's say, the kind of behavior that's very much in the news at the moment, and has also been featured in some of the recent files dropped relating to a certain individual who lived on a certain island. I just wanted to come and give my initial thoughts straight off the bat rather than sit down and script anything. So, what was Melania documentary like? Well, first of all, in terms of the ticket sales, this was a 3:15 showing at View Cinema in Portsmouth. So it's never going to be the most well attended, but there were 5 other people, so 6 of us in total. And yeah, it was still one of the smallest screens, so it's still pretty empty. But hey, there were 5 people, so I guess that might be a win for the documentary. Overall, this film was unbelievably bad, but it's not bad in terms of how it's made. It is well made from a technical perspective. But in a way, that's kind of what makes it bad. You see, this is supposed to be a fly-in-the-wall documentary, and you expect those to be a little bit imperfect because the things that happen are happening in real time, and they're happening with people just making the decisions on the fly to stand somewhere, to look at somewhere, to talk, say some those sorts of things, and everything is too well shot. Everything seems to be most shots. They seem to be really well framed, well, especially shots at the beginning. They're well framed, they're well lit, the cameras are well positioned, the zoom's just right, the focus is just right. So everything looks staged. In fact, the whole thing looks like just a normal movie, just with some very bad actors. It doesn't seem like a documentary of following someone around. There's this one thing that keeps happening at the beginning, where a lot of it is at the start is filmed in the New York apartment in Trump Towers, which is the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. Just the gold everywhere and the shiny walls. Oh, it's just horrible. But there are so many shots of Melania walking down these stairs and then walking through this sort of, I guess not a doorway, it's just an open hallway. And there's so many shots with this camera is in that one position. She's walking through to meet someone, and it just got kind of annoying. At one point, I started laughing because I thought, "Is another one of these shots?" Now I've got so many notes here, and it's all scribbled down, so I'm just trying to decipher them. But right at the beginning, essentially the introduction, they play the song "Billie Jean." Now this is an interesting choice because of the chorus. Obviously, it's later point said that Melania says Michael Jackson was her favourite artist and Billie Jean was her favourite song of his, so that's why they chose it. However, obviously the opening line is she was more like a beauty queen and whatever, but when you think about the chorus is the Billie Jean is not my lover, she's just a girl, claims that I am the one, but the kid is not my son. And I've seen a lot of people making suggestions about something which I don't believe. When you see Baron at the end, you see him waving, you see the look on his face, he's his father's son, and we know who his father is. So I'm going to want to kibosh that conspiracy theory straight off. But it just seemed, given everything that's happening at the moment, a song with the line "she's just a girl" is really unfortunate. Really, maybe it's because Brett Ratner has his own issues about that to deal with, and maybe they didn't just put 2 and 2 together and think, no, we can't have this song. That was really bad. And what else have I said? Yeah, lots of stage, lots of disgusting decor in the flat. So most of this film, so it's about the lead up to the inauguration, and it's almost all about Melania picking the dresses she's going to wear for different parts of the day, talking to her designers, making alterations, talking to an interior designer about the table settings for the inaugural, the candlelight supper they had the night, or something like that. that's literally most of it. She introduces herself as a philanthropist, a mother, a businesswoman, a model, blah, blah, all this stuff. Um, but most of this film is about her style choices for table settings, for plates, for napkins, for the cut of a dress. There's one moment right at the beginning where she's trying on the dress that she wore to the actual inauguration, this navy blue thing with the hat, and she says about the way that the blouse underneath folds over. She said, "Oh, can we do something? Can we cut that?" And blah blah blah. And then it cuts to the designer, and he said, "Oh, because she's a model, she knows it all. She knows exactly what to say to to alter the dress. Oh, you need to cut this by an eighth or a third or a one or a two, like that." She then says, "Oh, can we do something with this? Can we cut it?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, cut it." And as she walks away, the camera points at one of the actual I don't know what they're called, like semster, whatever. One of the guys with the tape around his neck, and you could just see this look on his face. He's just standing there, just watching her walk away, and then as soon as she's out of earshot, he turns to the designer and goes, "We can't cut it. We can't do that. That's not going to work." And then they have to. So it kind of contradicts what they were saying. Oh yeah, she knows she's so intense. She knows about fashion. She knows about this. And there's this simple thing that they couldn't do, and they could see it immediately. Just you might say it's a little bit petty, but it was just quite kind of an interesting thing to include. Right, right after they said, "Oh, she's such an expert because she's a model," and it turned out she wasn't really. She claims to honour the White House. Well, we know what happened to the White House after that, so not really good. There's a discussion, meeting with an interior designer who talks about her immigrant past. She's actually from Laos, and she came in when she was 2 years old. And I just thought, well, thank God she's in this documentary, because she is not going to get iced after being in this documentary. She is safe. Oh yes, just seeing her, that hat. All I could think of is South Park. The whole thing about the ghostly Melania figure in haunting Donald Trump and scaring him. Oh, then there's a call she has with Trump, his first appearance on the phone, and he's talking about the verification, how amazing it's a landslide, and how all the electoral college votes have gone his way, and it's so many. And you could just hear her going, yeah. She is so disinterested. She doesn't care. It's so weird the way she's reacting. Either that, or she's just really acting badly. Yeah, there's a whole thing about going to the Jimmy Carter funeral, and there's another thing later when they go do a ceremony at the Arlington War Memorial. I know it's hard to know whether I should be saying, "Oh, she just makes it all about herself," because the film kind of is about herself. But I just didn't feel anything. I didn't feel they were honouring anything. I just felt nothing. But in terms of the cemetery, but we do see a few shots of J.D. Vance's wife. I've forgotten her name, unfortunately. But I was just watching her, and I just kind of felt sorry for her, because when you think about it, everything that Melania has to go through with Trump, that's on her. She was a young, beautiful woman who married this grotesque individual who's completely charmless and devoid of any kind of decent character. So she got exactly what she wanted. She got the money, the lifestyle, and the influence and the fame. But with J.D. Vance's wife, I just kind of felt so sorry for her. See that she isn't really featured much in this, but I just kept looking, thinking that poor woman, Usha Vance. That's her name, Usha Vance. Yeah. I don't know if I'm reading too much, but it was almost like she didn't feel she wanted to be there at that, even back in during all those ceremonies. Also, she wasn't happy. What else? Oh, in terms of music, I was quite shocked to hear "True" by Spandau Ballet and "Everybody Wants to Rule the World" by Tears for Fears were used in this. I'd be very surprised if either of those bands had the rights to their own songs, and therefore they would have actually agreed to use it. I'm pretty sure that's not the case. So we're supposed to get an insight into Melania Trump, the First Lady, and the things she's interested in, the causes she cares about. There are two scenes where we hear about that, which constitutes barely 5 minutes of the 144-minute runtime. There's a moment when she's on a Teams call to Brigitte Macron, and they're talking about the things they want to do, and they don't really go into that much. But then, sort of out of the blue, Melania Trump mentions that some statistic about kids these days spending 8 hours a day screen time, and it's really bad for them. Now, I don't know if that sounds to me like one of those statistics that's already been debunked. I don't know the fact of it, but it just all comes out of nowhere, and then it's forgotten, and that's it. And then, of course, they got Queen Rania of Jordan who comes in. They talk about something, or I don't know. I was actually writing some notes at the time, but literally, the whole thing about her philanthropy and the causes she cares about makes up about 5 minutes of this film, barely. And the rest of it is just her choosing fabrics, choosing plate designs. It's mad. There's literally all it is. It's about her fashion and her style choices and what colours she likes and what designs. That's it. That's literally it. That's what this film is primarily about. Then there's some brief sort of cameos, I guess, from Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Tim, what's his name, from Apple. Oh yeah, in the call with Brigitte Macron, they have she's using a Mac, iMac, whatever, and it's just the Apple logo on screen. So clearly, some of that $40 million budget for this piece of garbage came from Apple, and I hope they're happy with it. Well, so we get to the actual inauguration eventually. It's just such a slog, and we see all the footage from behind. There is a wonderful moment, actually. See, I'm no fan of Kamala Harris, but there's this wonderful moment before they all go out onto the stage. You see the Clintons being introduced, the Bushes being introduced, Obama being introduced without Michelle. So when the cameras point to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden's sort of making the best of it. Kamala is not hiding it, and she knows the cameras there. She would have known that this documentary is being made, and she is not hiding how she feels. And as she walks past the camera, she does a noticeable real sigh, a real just fed up sigh, and she is really giving it her all. She is the best performance in this whole drivel. I loved her. I say I'm no fan of Kamala Harris at all, but she went up in my estimation for doing that. And before Melania is led out onto the dais, being accompanied by a Marine, she turns to the camera and goes, "Here we go again," and it just made grated because it was just so fake. And there was when after all that, and they're going from sort of banquet to banquet and ball to ball, she talks about how she loved going around the Capitol building. What did she say? She would go around the Capitol building, I think it's like smiling at the staff. That's right. Yeah, she talks about going around the Capitol building, smiling at all the staff, and all the military, and spending more time in heels. That's literally what's on her mind: smiling and walking around in heels. This is just shocking. And in the end, it seems to be that they do not share a bedroom. Someone else on Twitter posted this as well. I forget who it was. Maybe I can't remember now, but it looks like they don't share a bedroom. It really does. I just, yeah. And at the end of it, all I could think of was poor Usha Vance. I literally that was my thing. I had so much sympathy for that woman. Yeah, this is. Oh, and then this is a very weird ending where they start showing portraits of various first ladies: Eleanor Roosevelt, Eisenhower's wife, Mamie Eisenhower, I think her name was, then Jackie Kennedy. And you think, oh, it's just going to go through these different portraits, but it stops at Jackie Kennedy and then goes through this background of this photo shoot with Melania. I think it was a quite famous one, that photos that came out. About almost 5 minutes of this photo shoot of her just posing. Then that's literally it, and that's pretty much how it ends. And then you've got some text glazing about how all the amazing things she's done and whatever. And that's it. So that is the Melania documentary. There's so much more. I'm just trying to get out what's fresh in my mind, and my handwriting is pretty awful, so I probably missed a fair bit. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's not bad. I say it's not bad because it's badly made, although I do think it is badly made. If you look at, say, This Is Spinal Tap, probably the greatest mockumentary of all time, the way they did that was to make sure that the camera, a lot of the shots were bad. There's too much zoom, slightly out of focus, is wobbling. Whereas this, it just looks almost too good. It's because so much of it is staged. But there's a bit towards the end where when the Bidens are going off in the presidential helicopter leaving DC, the camera seems to be moving too much. It's almost like they're thinking, "Oh, we've got to make this look bad." So it just feels like if you were, because that is a set event that's happening. It just seemed like there was too much movement in the camera, like they were deliberately moving the camera to make it look natural when they could have just held the camera fairly still, knowing exactly what they were going to do anyway. This Is Spinal Tap is a better documentary, and that's fake, just definitely, and all the other ones that they've made. So, is this worth going to see? No, it's not. This is so some films have value because they're terrible, and from a filmmaking perspective. So films like The Room, or Samurai Cop, or Ryan's Babe, those are just remarkably badly made films. Some films are bad and have value because they tell something about the hubris of the filmmakers, or the vision they have. Films like Heaven's Gate or Battlefield Earth. Some films are just bad because there's so much expectation, like The Last Jedi. This has no value of any kind. Either as a badly made B movie or as a badly made expensive movie. This is just empty. It's devoid of any substance. It is. Melania Trump is the producer of this film, so it's all about her. And Brett Ratner is a disgraced director. He'll just he's going to do whatever he needs to do to get back into filmmaking. But this has zero value, so there's no point. You'll get nothing out of this, so don't bother. Save money. I've spent £12.99 for you. You're welcome. Stay at home. Go and watch something else, anything else. For goodness sake, anything is better than this. Go and watch The Housemaid. That's a really good film. Rent something on. Well, I'd say Amazon. They're the ones that funded this rubbish. But yeah, just don't bother. Save your money. Stay in. And enjoy life without ever having to have defiled yourself watching this complete trash.